Hey, Alex Kubasek here with ConvertSource. There's obviously a ton of different ways that you can market your business. There's always a new trend. There's always something new, flashy, an app, something that helps you make it either easier for your business or helps you generate the best content on the planet Earth. So something we're going to be going over today is the top 6 things that you need to keep an eye out for to put into your business to really help you scale and grow within 2022, and even further to make sure that your business is staying top of mind with your ideal customers so that you can grow your business. So stay tuned.
3, 2, 1.
When you want your leads and sales on autopilot and to accelerate your business, you come to the source. The ConvertSource podcast with Alex Kubasek. Let's go.
Hey, this is Alex with ConvertSource. So today on the podcast, first and foremost, we're going to be going over the top 6 things that you need to be putting inside of your business, implementing, meaning actually creating a plan and then following through with it, putting it into your business in order to help you grow within 2022, 2023, and beyond. A lot of the things that we talk about on this particular show deal with a lot of foundational things. Right? Because if we build our business on a poor foundation, we obviously run the risk of collapsing. So something that we really like to talk about here and really drive home are some of basically the 4 pillars, right? So that's making sure that you know exactly who your customer is, making sure that you know exactly who they are, what their decision-making and buying power is, knowing exactly what their needs are, their problems, what keeps them up at night, really understanding your ideal customer on a very in-depth and granular level. So the other thing, the second thing that's most important is making sure that since you now know who your ideal customer is, you need to make sure that you understand the content to be able to give them to answer their problem solution. Basically answer their problems with one solution. What keeps them up at night? What are their biggest problems? What are their biggest roadblocks? And create content based around that. So it's almost like, oh my gosh, whenever somebody consumes your content, they think, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly my problem. They have the answer. So they're going to listen to you a lot more. Now, obviously, it's a little bit more in depth than that, but you get my point. The other thing that we need to make sure that we're doing is we need to audit what our online presence currently is. Because the thing is that we have to have a vehicle to be able to distribute that content that answers your ideal customer's query, their problem, whatever they're looking for to solve. We need to make sure that the content has a vehicle to be delivered. So there are obviously a ton of different ways. Now, part of knowing your ideal customers, knowing exactly where they hang out, where are they spending most of their time? They might be reading blogs of XYZ. They might spend their time more here, more there, on a competitor's website. A little insider tip, something to help you create better content is to go on to your competitors' blogs, Facebook pages, etc., and look at their comments that they're getting on their posts. What are people asking for that company, your competitor, is not providing? And you need to start working on creating solutions to provide that, because the fastest way to get new eyeballs into your business to grow is to do things that your direct competitors will not. And so obviously those vehicles can be anything from your own blog, your social media, different forms of advertising, email marketing, etc. And those vehicles then need to be put on autopilot. The biggest thing that we talk about here at ConvertSource is putting your leads and sales on autopilot. The best way to do that is to make sure that your content distribution system, so email marketing, Facebook, Google, whatever it is, wherever that content for your ideal customer is being basically pushed out into the marketplace, that needs to have an automated component to it. So, quick example. If you're talking, if you're a real estate agent and you're looking for more leads to create listings, so people looking to sell their house, and you have the greatest content because you're answering exactly their problems, the things that your competitors won't do, et cetera, and you have great content to distribute. Well, let's say that you want to start building a list of new leads for people who are ready to list their house. Well, let's say you have a very simple landing page, opt-in form to basically explain to them the difference as to why you're going to sell their house for $1 trillion versus the guy who's only going to sell it for $1 million, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, your offer is going to be more valuable than that. But in this case, they obviously exchange their name and their email address and phone number to figure out what that offer or hook or deliverable is, or to receive it. And so now that you have a new lead, you have a marketing qualified lead that has come in and said, okay, I want to know more about how you're going to list my house, this, that, and the other thing. Well, now you want to make sure that you have a confirmation email, let's just say, that goes out and says to them, thank you so much for signing up. Here, book a call so we can start going over your strategy, blah, blah, blah. That is a piece of automation. That is helping you put your leads and sales on autopilot. That's a very simplistic form, but just to give you like a quick scope of what that looks like. Now, zooming out from there a little bit more, having a traffic source that is on autopilot 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay, 365 days out of the year, something like running some advertising through Google or through Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, wherever your ideal customer is hanging out, going back to the customer avatar pillar, right? The most important first step, being able to have advertising that is running all day long, all days out of the year, driving traffic to that landing page, that landing page then converts leads. And now you've started to build that list that then sends out, it's called an autoresponder, an email that confirms, hey, thank you so much for expressing interest. Would love to set up a quick call to discuss what you're looking for, etc. You can either have that, or you, in addition, can have like a text message that goes out with a link to like a video that says, and introduces yourself, to then book the call, like things like this. Being creative, really taking a deep dive into that handshake, that first impression, really knocking their socks off, blowing their hair back, if you will. Being able to put all of this on autopilot makes you omnipresent as a person, as a professional, as a business. Your message is now omnipresent. Okay, so that is what we do here at ConvertSource. We make sure that you and your expertise are omnipresent, and that you are everywhere that somebody is looking for that solution, the solution that you provide 24/7, 365 days out of the year. It's like having an invisible salesperson that's working for you, never takes a coffee break, never goes on a holiday, etc. So if you think about it, instead of counting sheep at night, you could be counting leads, right? Because these things are going to be, your business is on autopilot while you're sleeping, on vacation, with your family, outside, cutting the grass, etc. Whatever it is, your business is still running and generating your value action, whether that's leads, sales, etc. Does that make sense? That is what ConvertSource is all about. So now that we have discussed the 4 pillars that you have to have, the things that we go over all the time, the things that you have to have in your business, so we have provided resources. Go ahead and go to our YouTube channel. All of these shows are on there. It gives you the resource links. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, in the description, there are resource links to help you with all this. Now, I want to get into the meat of today's conversation, and that's really the top 6 things that I want you guys to start looking for in your business in terms of implementing into your business. Now, the reason why I say, and I define implementation as creating a plan for it and then executing it and getting it into your business, because there are so many people that are listening to this right now, or they're watching this podcast on YouTube or wherever they're consuming it, and they think, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. I would love to do that. But then guess what? Life happens. Your kid has a soccer game. The cat knocked over something across the room. Whatever the reason is, about 70% of people that have an idea spark from listening to a podcast, a training, whatever it is, 70+% of people will not take action on that fantastic inspiration that they had. Let me say that again. 70% of people will not take action on the inspiration that they had from listening to a training, something, etc., that they thought, oh my gosh, I could put that into my business and it would do X, Y, Z. Well, I'm here today to let you know I'm going to be following up with you on this. These 6 things are, of course, in addition to the initial 4 foundational pillars that we discussed and we went over in the beginning of the show. But it is imperative, and I implore you to make sure that you are putting an action plan together to put these things into your business. Okay, now it's not going to be one size fits all. Your message is going to be different than somebody else's, but these are another element that you need to incorporate in your business to continue to grow with the ever changing digital landscape of digital marketing today. So, without further ado, let's hop right into those things. So, the first one here that we're going to be going over is video. Now, of course, we have talked about video in great detail. I mean, video is the most content consumed or consumed content out there today, and it's only getting bigger. Top 2 juggernauts for that are obviously Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, but the biggest one that people go to for problem solving content is YouTube. So now you'll notice that YouTube is not just YouTube anymore, right? It's not just a place where we house our content. If you want to go over to the Convert Source YouTube channel, feel free, check us out, look at all of our other podcasts, a lot of great information on there. But you'll notice that there's another component to YouTube now that is a little bit different than what it used to be, and it's called YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is essentially a stories or reels or TikTok, but inside of YouTube. It's a way for you to get more eyeballs quickly to your channel. It is a free source of being able to put in, have a great piece of content, 15 seconds, where you're promoting something or talking about something, offering value, putting in some relevant hashtags, and then here comes a flood of traffic. Okay? Always make sure that you have a call to action, though. Check out our YouTube channel, blah, 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 or go here or go there. But either way, it is basically the ability for you to leverage YouTube to show more favor to your channel, to your other websites, things like that. So, having said that, you'll notice that I used something like 15 seconds. The old adage is any video needs to be about less than a minute. Now, as a general rule of thumb, that is true. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean go ahead and record 60 full seconds of something. Do not, here is a golden tip, do not record a 1-minute video whenever a 15-second video will do. You will lose the people who are watching your video because they're like, you could have told me this in 15 seconds. So the thing that I want to make sure that you guys are focusing on going forward whenever you're talking about your video creation is video is getting shorter. So think of a YouTube ad as like a pre-roll ad. Obviously we've seen them. We've all engaged with them. The really good ones are only about 15 seconds, and people don't skip them because the meat, the huge value hook, because they understood their customer and they understood what they were looking for, the meat of that video, the irresistible hook is going to be within the first 3 to 5 seconds of that video. And so since video is getting shorter, you need to start thinking about almost kind of giving the surprise or the end of the joke or the butt of the joke before you start telling the joke. Yes, of course, hey, set the scene for a couple of seconds, but then bam, get into the solution, solve their problem. So start thinking about how to make shorter videos for your business. Get your point across faster. Okay, that was number 1. Number 2, I know that everybody thinks that Facebook is how do I put this? It's a platform for older people, older folks, right? But think about this. Even though that might be true, whether it is or it isn't, I cannot confirm nor deny, because I want people to still like me. Whether it is or it isn't true, the people that are consuming content on Facebook, think of it this way. Those are the people that are older, and so they have money. Those are the people that have credit card leverage decision-making power in a transaction to be able to whip out their credit card whenever they see a piece of content that is of value, that solves their problem, and they are going to have the power to actually make a purchase, make a conversion, do something. So you need to make sure that your message is still on Facebook. That is why we need to say, okay, look at your ideal prospect. Every single person on the planet Earth, for the most part, has a Facebook account, right? But you might say, well, TikTok. Well, yes, TikTok is still growing though. So you need to make sure that you have a presence on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, etc. Now, make sure before you put effort and energy into a Snapchat or something like that, you are looking at the demographic that typically uses something like a Snapchat or a new trendy fad type platform. And you need to make sure that you're looking at and saying, okay, what is the typical age range on this platform? Does my product, does my service, does my expertise, does my value proposition meet the needs of that age bracket? If no, I would recommend not spending too much time there. That is one of the biggest things that I see so many people get burned out on, is investing resources in a new toy that doesn't pay off for them because they did not look at the age bracket. So past there, now we're going to be moving on to number 3. You guys need to make sure that you're investing in automation. I know I say this literally every single show because obviously our specialty here is at ConvertSource is digital marketing automation to put your leads and sales on autopilot. But here's the thing. If you don't have automation, you can't scale your business. Simple fact. In today's day and age, if you do not have digital automation inside of your business to help streamline your processes, for example, whether you're an HR company who needs, a platform to be able to streamline training, onboarding with documents, things like that, or whether you're a real estate agent who needs to be able to automatically qualify better leads, so you're reducing the cost of your sales cycle, you're reducing the time that it takes you to close a deal because that automation helps you qualify on autopilot those leads better. So you're only dealing with people who are more serious, no tire kickers. Or if you're an e-commerce brand who has like an automated funnel strategy. So an ad that goes to a product that then helps them initiate the checkout, and all of these things goes all the way through the purchase process. Okay. You have to have marketing automation and systematization of your business to be able to scale effectively. You're going to be able to scale more rapidly because you're going to be able to say, okay, if I put in $1 into the top of the funnel, at bottom of funnel, I get out this. You're going to be able to get 2 things out of that. Along the way, you're going to be able to see where is the most drop off. Okay, where are people just abandoning the process altogether and they did not reach the end goal that I wanted them to? You're literally going to have a laser focus on how you can start to plug that leak. But then also, you're going to see at the bottom of funnel, here's how much I got from putting that $1 into the top of funnel. Now, 2 more things happen from that. You're going to have a formula that says, okay, if I drop in $1, I know I'm going to get, if I drop in X, I know I'm going to get Y out. But you'll also be able to say, if I plug that leak and I'm able to convert X amount more percent of people throughout the process, I now know that if I drop in X, I'm going to get X plus Y, X, Y, Z, etc. You see what I'm saying? But only if you have digital automation and systematization are you going to be able to tell that. So now whenever you hear people say, let's start going over projections for next quarter, any of that rigmarole, you're going to be able to say, okay, well, last month or last quarter, we spent X and we got Y. You're going to be able to say, okay, well, if I spend X times that 2, I know that I'm going to get roughly Y times 2. Do you see what I'm saying? It helps you understand your business, your customer. All of these things are working together to create an automated engine that is running for you 24/7, 365 days out of the year. Number 4, Data is going to be a completely different approach. Okay, because of iOS 14 and iOS 15, and really going forward, I mean, pretty much every platform is going to be going cookieless at some point in the very near future. It's just a simple fact. So, what does that mean? That means that you're not going to be able to use the Facebook Pixel, for example, as efficiently as you used to. Right now, whenever iOS 14 came out from Apple, there were huge brands reporting that they were seeing less than 40% conversions on Facebook's platform in terms of reporting, let's just call it sales and transactions, but their backend was saying that they got X amount more percent of conversions than Facebook was reporting. Now, you might say, okay, well, then just start looking at your backend. Problem is that with these digital advertising platforms, you want to make sure that you have the most accurate data humanly possible being fed into your advertising campaigns because they get smarter with better information that you feed them, right? If I eat garbage, I'm going to feel like garbage. If I eat good food and nutrition and take care of my body, I'm going to be working at a better, higher, more optimized level. Same thing with digital campaigns. So, in terms of how data is going to be changing, you need to start looking for and researching two things. Number one, a third party tracking source. I recommend anytrack.com. There are plenty of them out there. There's also Hyros, but I like AnyTrack. It's definitely the most affordable, but also most accurate and user friendly third party tracking solution. And I'll put that link in the description for you. But the second thing that you need to make sure that you're doing is you're exploring third party data providers. So, first party data is going to be like saying, okay, I have a list of customers, or I have something to feed into Facebook to create lookalike audiences and things like that. And that's kind of like first and second party data. Um, Obviously, lookalikes or similar audiences to Google are going to be like that, more accurate, let's just say, or at least they used to be very accurate sources of data to create lookalike audiences to basically get in front of people who are similar to your current customer list or people that you've worked with in the past, but obviously lookalikes of that. So it's like more of like a warm audience that you can start using a top of funnel to get in front of new eyeballs. Now, the third party data, however, and there are plenty of them out there. You can go to Oracle, you can go to DeepSync, you can go to LiveRamp, you can go to all of these different types. And really, what it comes down to is these third party data providers have, at a very effective cost, audiences, but they have anchors, behavioral anchors built into all of their audiences. Whether you're a business to consumer product, right? You're like an e-com product that's selling sneakers, right? If you go to a third party data provider and say, I sell this type of sneaker, can you give me an audience that purchased sneakers within the last 12 months, right? Because there is a certain shelf life of a shoe. Or can you give me an audience of people who are actually going into Foot Lockers or places like that who are actively in market to purchase a new pair of shoes? So you can see how using that third party data has that behavioral anchor that makes it so that whenever you run an ad against it or to that audience, it's very relevant and you're far more likely to have a shorter sales cycle and get to the sale faster. So, really understanding how data needs to be leveraged and tracked in 2022 and going forward is going to be of the most importance. The next thing is, or fifth thing, is influencer marketing. So, of course, this is a topic that has been floated around for years. It's not new, but usually whenever somebody hears influencer marketing, they think, oh, so I'm going to have to pay some celebrity $100,000 or 200 or $500,000 that I don't have to make a quick post about my product, and it will probably end up falling flat on its face. What I really want you to kind of curb that mindset to say is, instead of influencer, start talking about user generated content. Now, we've all heard UGC before, right? UGC is user generated content of people who are basically showing how great your product is, but they're real life human beings. It's not like a produced ad or commercial that's trying to sell or introduce a product. It's somebody who has already consumed the product and is saying how great it is. There are great marketplaces out there. One is called billow.com or .app. I'll put that in the description below, but it's really focusing on user generated content and really being able to have content that is influencing somebody's decision to help them make a decision on becoming a lead or a customer or buying a product, etc., and influencing them through that type of video marketing. Now, the last one here that's really, of course, all of these are extremely important. But the thing is that more often than not, because of a lot of restrictions on targeting, on cookies and pixels and things like that, it's really hard to have an effective brand strategy because everybody's trying to make as much money as fast as possible, but they miss a couple of steps. And that's why in the beginning of this episode, I wanted to make sure that we had discussed the 4 pillars that we preach here that are tried and true that will help you scale your business every day of the week and 17 times on Sundays. You need to make sure that all of your content is telling a story in the sense of your product or service is solving this problem. You need to make sure that you help them bridge the gap through a brief story or a long story, depending on if you're creating a webinar or if it's a YouTube short or if it's a TikTok or something. You need to make sure that you call out, here is the problem that you are facing, that somebody is facing, your ideal customer is facing. And then you go through all of the, and of course, this sounds like it could be tacky, but it works. You need to get people on your team and you need to help them have an epiphany. So you need to create an epiphany bridge from the problem that they're experiencing to the solution that you're providing. Whatever that is, you need to help bridge that gap for them through storytelling in your digital content. It's as simple as that. Now, I want to throw in just a few bonus things here. Number one, if you are serious about marketing your brand, you need to advertise. Now, I'm not going to be one of those people that says, hey, you only have to spend $2.50 a day to become wildly successful on Facebook. That is not true, and it never will be true, and it never was true. Anybody who has told you that is trying to get you to buy something and eventually you'll buy it and then you'll understand that, no, I can't spend $2.50. I'll be old and gray by the time I actually get my first sale. No. What you need to understand is you need to understand the KPIs that you need to hit, your key performance indicators, as we've talked about in many past shows. And you need to start testing. Not every single ad that you launch is going to be evergreen, meaning that it's going to be able to run all the time and produce millions of dollars for it. You have to test to get there because the thing is that you don't want to put, obviously, your money behind a dud. Now, what I would recommend is after you know the KPIs, the key performance indicators, or the benchmarks that you need to hit, I would then make sure that my content is video in nature. You are creating an epiphany bridge to get somebody from the problem that they're experiencing, give them a bridge to that solution that you're offering. Okay? Make it very simple to understand. Here's what you're experiencing. We've been there too. Here are the things that you need to have in your business to make sure that you never experience XYZ again. We're offering this right now. Just, come on in, it's free, blah, 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 whatever. Obviously, it'll be more eloquent than that. And everybody's business solution is different, but you understand what I'm saying. Okay? But you need to leverage that against third-party data. So like an Oracle or a DeepSync or a LiveRamp, etc. And then you need to make sure that you have efficient tracking in place. So like an AnyTrack. Okay? Having those things running against good third-party data are going to help you start to understand the landscape and see what you're going to be looking at in terms of like an effective cost, right? Because in this case, you don't know until you know. You don't know until you've tried. You don't know until you test it. So we have to test it at some point, because organic social posting and SEO, they take a while, right? So if you haven't noticed, the reason why they take a while is because the platforms are pushing you to spend more money or to spend any money. So what I would do is I would start testing your messaging against third party and your expertise and your value proposition against third-party data with the correct tracking in place. Personally, I would recommend using something like Facebook, because it can hit Facebook and Instagram at the same time. As we discussed earlier on in this episode, Facebook is still a juggernaut, and it always will be. So it's a good place to start to test your message. Nobody said that you have to test for a long period of time. Nobody said that you have to say, okay, well, I only have $300. I only have $200. Okay, well, nobody said you had to spread that out over 30 or 31 days. You could spread that out over 2 weeks. You could spread that out over a week. Okay, because then what you're going to start to notice is that your daily ad spend is going to be far more potent, and you're going to be able to get data faster. And then you can turn off the ad, assess, and see how much engagement, how many sales, how many leads, how many things you got with that particular message, and you can make the correct pivots or relaunch that campaign because it's doing really well. So there are a lot of different ways to skin that cat, right? There are a lot of different ways to make that happen. I don't recommend skinning cats, but you understand what I'm saying. The other thing is, make sure that when you start to build out new landing pages or new websites or new platforms that people are going to be engaging with your content, make sure that they are mobile friendly. Okay, this is something that has been going on for 10 years, but still to this day, people have landing pages out there or websites that aren't mobile friendly. And so we've all seen, you have to take your smartphone, you got to zoom in here and you got to move it over here and you got to manipulate it here this way. It needs to be easily consumable, and no screen manipulation, no pinching, no zooming out, none of that. And your message needs to be very clear, and it needs to be mobily optimized and mobile friendly so that somebody can consume your content and get that solution that you're offering as fast as possible. So guys, these are the things that you need to start putting into your business. And I would recommend enacting them and getting them into your business as fast as humanly possible, because every day you don't, you're leaving money on the table. And that's just a fact. So if you need help putting this stuff together, obviously this is what ConvertSource is all about. This is what we do day in and day out for all of our clients. Just easily send us a note, support@convertsource.com. We're going to get in touch with you right away. We're going to help you map out your entire digital strategy, and we're going to help you enact it and put it in place and stand it up so that you can get into the marketplace with your message, your value proposition, your expertise as fast as humanly possible and start helping your people. Guys, thank you so much for watching the show today, for listening to the show today. If you have any questions, if you need help, if you want to tell us how we're doing, we highly encourage any and all feedback, or we're willing to help you get started right now. Support@convertsource.com. Guys, God bless. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
When you want your leads and sales on autopilot and to accelerate your business, you come to The Source. The ConvertSource Podcast with Alex Kubasek. Let's go.